Jawaballs!
Okay, so here we are. This is how to paint gnomes, or these are leprechauns from Jim Stanton from Gnome Wars. These are Jim Stanton Gnome Wars leprechauns, and this is a great game that he's got going on. He's actually written this game himself, and I'll post up a link to where you can find more information about Gnome Wars. But what this is about is how to use Army Painter. Which color are we using here, Stanton?
We are going to be using the Greenskin. Or Greenskin, I guess.
The Army Painter Greenskin. This is great for painting orcs. And a quick word of warning about using Army Painter spray paint. It's fantastic, first of all, because it's got a lot of great pigment and it covers well. It's a primer, so it's the only layer of color you need. But the thing with it is that if you're not careful, you can very easily get too much primer onto your models. So,
which unfortunately I did when we were priming some.
Yeah, I failed to give Stanton the proper lesson before using the spray primer. So the motion that you use for spraying this is this. Quick, short little bursts right across your models. If you do this and pause, that's going to, see how it just built up right there, that little wet spot, right? Too much is too much, and it fills in your details. So just one over here real quick. Short, controlled bursts is all you really need. Then you can flip it around, get the other side. That looks pretty good.
Alright, so our goal here is Jawaballs here turned me on to the Army Painter. He had some dragon red, and I painted some leprechauns up to be clericons, some cavalry. I'm going to bring those guys actually in tomorrow, and we're going to take a look at how that came out. But I do have to say that that green is what I'm going to use for my final coat on their coats. I might highlight just a little bit. The clericons, when I show them to you, the cavalry guys, it cut my painting time by hours, because it's all there. The Army Painter covers great. The colors were there. I did just a little bit of inking. I did a little bit of washing just to get some highlight, but the color is great. And there'll be a little addendum to this video when I show you those cavalry guys. Yeah, so what we're going to do now is we're going to turn. I'm going to turn off my camera, but we're going to prime these guys up, and then in a couple days I'm going to come back and show you the finished product. But again, this is saving me hours of work.
Yeah, it's a great product. This Army Painter Spray Prime. However, you do have to be careful when you use it. Let me go over and show this over the whole line. You can line up your boys. Some guys take pieces of double-sided tape, and they'll take a long stick and they'll put the tape under their models and put them on like a long stick so they can hold them up and spray them in the air, which kind of is nice. But I don't have that going on, so I just use the cardboard like this on the big table, and here we go. So just short bursts. You're not painting graffiti here, so you don't need to, and you don't need to cover them all completely with one passing. Layers is always better. You be quiet over there. So if you look here, I definitely didn't completely cover him yet, but that's because I don't want to fill in any details. So it's always better to work in soft layers.
But the other thing that I do, and I'm sure you do, that all people do, is now we're going to turn this cardboard and do the next layer from another angle, so to get some details from the top and the side. So let's do that.
That's good. And that's it. So looking at them, you can still see on this one guy where his face is, the painting that was already on him is still showing through the green primer. That's okay, because that can give him another blast or two with the spray.
And we'll just turn this a little bit and do one final to get kind of the back.
Is there another angle? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh yeah. See.
Now the one thing you have to understand when you're looking at this is that had I primed these regularly, I would have touched each one of these individual models and put the green on, a couple layers of green because it would have been streaky, so at least 2 layers. So if you look at that alone, and I have 30 models here, just do that math alone. If it takes me 5 minutes each, that's 150 minutes. That's 2 hours. That's an hour and 20 minutes? Hour and 30 minutes. That's an hour and a half of time that this step has saved me already. So,
and when and I've got a video coming up for Dragon Red that I've done that shows the comparison between my hand painting and the spray painting. And in 5 seconds of painting versus an hour of hand painting, I got better results. Yeah. Which is what I'm going to show in.
And I also had them too with the Dragon Red that you lent me that we did those other ones, the Cavalry with. Mm-hmm. I mean, we are talking about at the bare minimum an hour, if not more, of what it cost me, what it saved me in painting. Okay, so again, we're doing these leprechauns, and the color we're using is the Greenskin, which is a nice Kelly green, and I do like the way it looks. And I'm going to show you. We'll do a little comparison when I show you the end. I'm going to show you one that I hand painted, and we'll show you that one that we did with the leprechauns that we did with the Army Painter.
Well, I want to talk real quick about these models. These are, who made these models? Brigade Games. These are models made specifically for Jim Stanton's game called Gnome Wars that he has written. These are leprechauns, and this game is more about having fun. You know, this gnome is throwing a shoe. What's this guy called?
That's a cobbler.
A cobbler.
So he's a shoe thrower in the game, and that is his primary weapon is the shoe. We have the slingshot guys that in the game they use the slingshot to shoot their gold coins, and then we have the classic leprechaun weapon of the shillelagh.
Very cool. All right. So, well, that's going to wrap this one up, and I'll come back later on with some more. So there it is. This is this is Greenskin. Color. The last thing I want to say about the color primer is you can use it straight on a gray or silver model. You don't need to put a prime down first. So you can go right with this color as your prime coat.
Yeah.
All right.
These ones are primed. They were primed before because I didn't know about this. Yeah. But no, the Cavalry one that I'm going to show you, I primed them straight red. So we're going to show you that later on.
Okay. All right, more to come. Okay, I want to take a second to make an example of my friend Jim Stanton over there, because right after I made the first part of this video, what does he do? He takes the model and he does this. Pretend that little spot's a model right there. He does that. And look at all that paint that came right out and sprayed directly onto the model. And the result is a model that has some slightly filled in details. It wasn't terrible, but you know, I'm not in macro mode, so I can't see the details all that well. But the point is that he disregarded the advice that I just demonstrated in front of him and sprayed directly onto the model, which is dangerous because it can and will fill in your details. You need to be extremely careful. So let me demonstrate again, for the benefit of my friend Jim Stanton, how to paint with Army Painter spray paint. Right? Short controlled bursts. It's always better to do it in several layers. Notice how that third one in from the left on the top of row and the one here in the middle didn't cover completely. You see this guy? Because he had some black primer on him to begin with. That's okay, because I can come back and hit him with some more layers afterwards. It's always better in painting to work in thin layers. So hit it once, then come back and do it again. If you try and get it all covered completely with one solid blast, all you're going to do, you'll definitely cover up the black, but you're going to fill in all of your layers, and it's just going to be a blob of paint. And sadly, I've seen models, very expensive models, kind of ruined by that. And I would hate to have that happen to you guys.
You know, the other thing I want to say about this primer, to anyone listening to this, is that it dries in about, I want to say 10 minutes you can handle it, and in 20 you can start painting. So that's the other advantage to this primer over if you're using Krylon or something like that. You have a quick dry, and you're able to start basing and painting right away.
Yeah, that's pretty good. They look great. They're ready to go. That's how long would it have taken you to paint all those using your old method?
Well, like I said, even if I spent only 5 minutes per model, and we're talking about 30 models, that's 150 minutes. That's an hour and a half of time saved here in just this spraying. But the other thing you have to understand too is that you have to take into the time that I would have to spray them. Let's say I was home in the evening doing it. I would have to spray it, let those sit for 40 minutes, then turn them over, spray it. So that's the other time that you're not taking into account, where this cuts that time in half too. Because when I'm using a regular Krylon or when I'm using a different primer, I would have to wait. I would not be able to base and paint in the same night that I primed.
Yeah, and this paint counts as that first coat of paint.
Right.
So you don't have to give this a prime, because there's a chemical composition in primer, which is why it's called primer, where the primer adheres itself to the model better than your hand acrylic paint. So you hit it with a primer first, so that and then the acrylic paint sticks to the primer better than it would the model. So you need that layer of primer so that your acrylic paint that you paint onto the model sticks to the model better. It won't chip off as easily, and it holds better. So that's why you use a primer. And this eliminates the use for like a black or a white or a brown primer, because it skips right over that, and it gives you a nice solid color easily. So there you go, Army Painter Greenskin color primer, painted onto No More's Leprechauns from Jim Stanton, Brigade Games.
BrigadeGames.com.
Okay, more to come.